Suns trades are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Jimmy.
Book did it so much better.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into the PHNX Sun Show, of course, presented by our friends over at Bet365. Download that Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365. And when you sign up, find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. The epitome of never ordinary. Forced dump over here. Espo to my left. Steven to my right. Gerald down on the end. And we got crazy computer boy with Noah behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. If you missed our cold open, I would definitely encourage you to go back.
Do you not like me?
Oh, God.
It just keeps getting
Is
worse.
that like Borat Forrest Gump? Can we
He's
confirm
nice.
that is you actually attempting a Forrest Gump
It's
impersonation?
slowly devolving further and further each time I do it.
Well, Jeff, Mirage, Omar, McKay, Jonathan, Brian, Matrix, Leo, Marco, Wow Factor, everybody in the chat, thank you all for joining us on this Friday afternoon edition of PHNX Suns. Let's set a pretty big light goal for today. We have a packed show. Tim Legler will be joining us right around the halfway point of the show. We're talking All-Star. We're also talking Zach LaVine, Jimmy Butler, and some other notes and observations from the Suns. Espo, Mr. Forrest Dump himself, what should the like goal be?
I'd like them to hit 40.
40? 40?
Yeah,
Fine.
that was the most
Fine.
outrageous part.
99.
99. Okay.
I'm done. It's just devolving into
It's bad.
nothing. I don't even know what it is.
It's like
now.
Italian now. I don't even
Hey,
know what.
it's me, Amanja. I can do it. I'm Italian. Like,
It's me, Forrest.
it's a Forrest Dump.
Italian Forrest Gump was not on my bingo
We
card.
are running till I'm tired.
99 likes. We're going to smash that. I know everybody in the chat's going to smash that. And I'll say this. We have a huge surprise, massive surprise for when we hit 99 likes. So make sure you smash that. Steven, we haven't heard from you. How are you feeling about Forrest Dump over here?
No comment.
Okay. Do you have a comment about the reason why we're doing this? Which I don't know if you saw, but Devin Booker and Nike put out a commercial where Book was Forrest Gump doing a way better impersonation of him. What did you think about the newest Nike ad for Book?
I think it was creative. I also think, to Gerald's point, that Book did it a whole lot better. And in my Jimmy Butler voice, no more comments.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I hope he didn't use AI for the voice.
Yeah,
I hope
that's
it was
the
actually
only
Book.
thing
I hope it was actually Book for the
I
voice.
could see Book doing that.
I think so.
Especially it's good. It's
It
entertaining.
is. We didn't get to ask him at practice today, so hopefully we'll get him for shoot around and can verify that. But we'll see.
We do have practice updates at the end of the show. Make sure you stick around for after Tim Legler is on the program. But we do have, oh, what a surprise! Jimmy Butler trade rumors and news. No way!
Crazy.
Over the weekend, Mark Spears saying that Jimmy wants to go anywhere now. He has opened up his list of destinations. His wish list is just out of Miami with exception to Memphis, but he does want to finish his career wherever he goes. Gerald, it's gone from Phoenix is the only place that he wants to now everywhere, but apparently Tennessee.
Yeah, but it also started as Jimmy will go anywhere but Miami.
Yeah.
So it's,
But he prefers Phoenix.
Yes.
Is it what- yeah.
he still wants Phoenix. Like I'm reading between the lines here. He still very much wants to be in Phoenix, but this continues to be posturing on both sides. And this feels like, especially the stray shots at Memphis, they seem random, but we keep hearing the Grizzlies have kind of kicked the tires, been interested in Butler, but they're not willing to pay him the extension that will come in the offseason. So they're okay with potentially using Butler as a rental, and he doesn't want that. So if you're wondering why the Grizzlies keep getting slandered randomly for no reason, that's probably why. But yeah, I feel like we're getting close to that portion where something has to give one way or another. And both of these sides are continuing to add on weight until the other side breaks.
I feel like he has like an ex-girlfriend or something in Memphis that he just doesn't want to be in the same city as, right? It feels like just some weird hate from would they ban coffee in Memphis? Is that what it is? No,
Maybe.
that's Utah. He probably wouldn't want to go there.
That's a valid point.
Jimmy Butler on the Jazz would objectively be just so funny.
Tries to establish a new business in Utah.
like I've told you guys, it's subterfuge season. Everybody's gonna be running their storyline for what's their benefit, and we'll find out the truth sometime before February 6th.
I hope so. But we're gonna see the verdict still remains out on that. So we'll find out in the next 2 weeks.
Are we sick? Are we sick of this?
No.
Are we just like, let's just get this over with? Somebody make a trade. Stay on Miami. Like, let's just be done.
Look, I enjoy the basketball side of things, and I love talking basketball with you guys, but I'm here for the drama. I love the drama in this 2-week period, and it's starting to expand out to like a month now with this stuff. But I love this drama because it's what sports is about. It's selling the hope of anything can happen, and you can win. Any one of these 30 teams can figure out how to do it, right? And they've been playing at 500 basketball, right? If they were a top team in the West and we were going through this distraction, it might be a little too much for me, but they're a 500 team. I need something to give me hope. And at least this narrative and this talk has given me a little bit of hope that there's something different that could come of it.
The sad truth of it is most NBA fans don't actually like the sport of basketball. They are here mostly for the drama. And that's something that, you know, people like me and Steven and us on this panel try to fight, especially. But I can't appreciate the fact that the Suns' on-court product right now is nowhere near where we thought it would be. It's been hard to watch at times, and people want hope. So me personally, I'm kind of sick of it. It feels like we're just spinning our wheels at this point, and I would like to see some actual traction on something potentially getting done. But I also understand we have like 2 weeks left until the trade deadline, and this is just kind of what happens. And it is nice, at least, whether they get Jimmy Butler or not, the fact that the Suns' name continues to come up every time there's a disgruntled superstar or every time a player wants to move somewhere and the Suns are in their wish list or at the top of their wish list. That is a good thing, whether or not it leads to, you know, what we're actually waiting for.
I think the rest of the league is waiting for something to get done because per reports earlier today, other teams are on hold, basically trades on ice, waiting for something to happen with Jimmy and the Heat. So I'm kind of in that same vein. I'm ready to get back to the basketball. Feels like the tea has been too hot for too long, and somebody needs to pour a cup or 4 or 5 cups and get something rocking out, make it a tea party, if you will. But yeah, something's got to get going because other teams got some other things they're trying to get to, and I'm trying to see what each team is looking like with their roster going down the home stretch.
But you don't like this to be backed up till that Thursday, the trade deadline, and all hell breaks loose?
That's all I got left in me. I've never been one for the dramatic TV shows and My Wife and Kids and all of that. I've never been one for all of that. So this has been long enough for me.
I'll never forget the year they traded a third of the roster 5 minutes before the end of the deadline. So I'm here for anything. I'm ready for all of it. I'm excited. Let's go.
I also say, as someone that does content stemming from when news drops, I would like to get a full night's worth of sleep without having to check my phone every 45 minutes to see if I missed something.
I woke up this morning and you had texted. I was like, "Oh crap! I missed it. It happened."
That's why I usually don't text the group chat.
We're
at 6
all on
in the
edge.
morning.
Brian with a great point in chat says, "My Wife and Kids is an amazing show." What do you mean? It is a good show. I'll
I
have
didn't
to
mean
fight
my
you
wife
on
and
that.
kids. I meant all my children. Excuse me.
Oh,
Okay.
Because my Wife and Kids is a great show.
No, two very different things.
Very
My
different
bad.
shows.
Yeah, my bad.
Before we transition and talk about Zach LaVine, because that is something new that's going on, Psycho Blue with a $20 super chat. Wow. Thanks, Psycho Blue. Of course, one of our most consistent super chatters. If you want your chat read on screen just like Psycho Blues, drop a super chat. Any price will do. Says Basketball Cthulhu made it snow in Miami to support the Mad Butler's chaotic fury. The order of the old basketball gods crumble before the ambition of Apostle Ishbia and the undoing of the seal. Yeah.
Did Michelangelo write this?
No, that's just Psycho Blue.
It's a basketball Cthulhu made it snow in Miami.
All right, before we get too far down that path, let's shift over because there was some news according to Jake Fisher, who said that the Phoenix Suns are interested in a swap of Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine. Now, this obviously would be a pivot away from the Jimmy Butler move, or maybe if the Jimmy Butler move cannot happen, Gerald, basketball-wise, like, let's not talk about, is it likely, is it not? Basketball-wise, Beal-LaVine swap, how does that help or hurt the Suns?
I'm a little conflicted on this because I do think LaVine, you could talk yourself into him being a better fit. He's about an inch taller. He's having a better season this year than Bradley Beal is. If it weren't for his contract, a lot of people would be talking about him as one of the hottest potential trade candidates this season because he has played at an all-star or near all-star level. There are a lot of good players in the East now, but defensively, he's okay. I think he's been better recently than he has been in the past on that end, but he's still kind of a net negative. And I don't know how many of your problems he fixes as much as you still have some of that positional overlap that I know people in the chat hate. I don't know that you can play him next to KD and Book and keep Tyus Jones in the starting lineup. I think we're getting to the point where you got to try putting Tyus off the bench at this point. But I don't know. I'm very conflicted on it because he is having a great season. He does shoot the three ball really well. And he's a little bit bigger than Bradley Beal, but it's not a perfect fit for me by any means either.
I don't think you're getting a perfect fit, though. Look, for me, the perfect fit is not Bradley Beal. If you can find somebody willing to take that contract, right, I think you got to do it. And Zach LaVine actually makes, $43 million.
So you're talking contract, though.
I'm talking in general right now because Beal, once he got moved to the bench, you knew that was basically I served you divorce papers, right? And now the worst case scenario is getting stuck with him long term because you've already done the nuclear option with him, and then you could conceivably be stuck with him for 2 more years. If you can find a team that wants to take him, that he's willing to waive his no trade clause, you do it and you deal with what you get back. Jimmy Butler's flawed. Zach LaVine's going to be flawed. Guess what? What you're sending out is going to be flawed, including those first-round picks because they're all going to wind up back of the first-round picks in all likelihood. So you have an imperfect hand. You're basically bluffing your way into trying to get something else if you're talking poker terms. If you can get rid of Bradley Beal's contract, whether it's Zach LaVine or Jimmy Butler, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it in a heartbeat at this point.
I would be curious as to how much Zach LaVine buys into that third player role. That's not a role he's played since he ascended to fringe all-star / all-star territory. He's usually been a 1A or a 1B, depending on how you looked at him with DeMar DeRozan. But for the most part, the ball has usually been in his hands, and he's hardly played off of another player that's drawing the double teams to the extent that Devin Booker and Kevin Durant do. So I'm curious what that would look like with him adjusting to having the ball and his usage generally being a lot lower in volume. But also what he do the little things that it takes to be a third fiddle. Chris Bosh, we talk about all of the role changing that he had to go through on a game-by-game basis, and especially series by series come playoffs. Is Zach LaVine going to be someone that would be willing to do those things? And even before all of that, would Bradley Beal even waive his no-trade clause for us to have these conversations?
Well, it's great to get a Chicago Bulls fan's perspective on it all. It really is just eye-opening from that perspective.
The disrespect.
I want to put a poll in the chat. Would you swap Bradley Beal for Zach LaVine? Now, somebody in the chat says Chicago's not turning down 3 first-round picks. Chicago ain't getting 3 first-round picks in this scenario.
That's a horrible deal.
Like that would sink this team.
I'm guessing the most they'd get is a first and a second. If you're going to get draft capital in there, Torrey Craig has to be.
Torrey Craig has to be.
We got to get Torrey Craig back. It depends on how many teams are involved, though.
That's fair.
I think if you're talking 3-team deal, Chicago's probably going to want more picks. But if you have to loop in multiple teams, it's more conceivable to give each one like a pick. But yeah, there's a lot of different options here. We'll probably go through some next week again. But if you have to give up all 3 first-round picks
No.
for Zach
So
LaVine, I'd rather
You
keep
can't
Bradley
do
Beal.
that.
No, that's bad business.
I did talk with somebody in Chicago who said that they know that the Bulls don't want to take back any money, don't want to get into the tax, and don't value late first-round picks. So if that's all true, I don't see how this deal gets done at all. And again, might just be something somebody's funneling out there to muddy the waters one way or another.
But the thing with that is that sounds like a well-run franchise. And we know Chicago's not that.
Right.
So it's like, is that true? Like, is there a disconnect
If
there? I don't
anything,
know.
if anything, they've been very hesitant to trade Zach LaVine the last couple of seasons. So take that for what it's worth. I'm curious what King Nacho would how he would react to
He'd love it.
I don't know.
Oh, he would.
I don't
Dude,
know.
you say trade
I
Beal,
don't know.
it doesn't matter who's coming back.
But
Nacho's
okay, so if
pushing
that's the
button.
case, then how long does that last
A
before he
week.
goes to?
Right, just trade Zach LaVine, trade Zach
Why
LaVine.
Nacho have to
I asked the
rebrand?
question.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out. I
Well-
mean, because we're gonna find out. But you bring up that Chicago hasn't traded him. I don't think it's for lack of effort. I think it's very
think-
much been like the Bradley Beal stuff.
I feel like they've been hanging up the phone more than they've been trying to push him out
You
the door.
think?
That's what it feels like to me the last couple of years.
I think it's fluctuated.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is in that same exact report,
Mhm.
they said that Jake Fisher said that LaVine doesn't want to leave Chicago. So even in the same report, it's what's
some
going
flicker.
on here.
Well,
I
so
don't
one
know
of
if
them
guys
don't have a
have
no trade clause, though, right?
Somebody's got Stockholm syndrome. I don't know who, but someone does over there.
As the always positive person here, there's a couple ways you could talk yourself into it. No trade clause for LaVine, makes less money, slightly younger, and does help with your 3-point volume problem that we're going to touch on later with Tim Legler. I suppose dug up some numbers from that. So let us know what you guys think. We have 63 votes in that poll. We're going to read the results. It's a very close one. Over 330 of you in here on a Friday afternoon. If you didn't know, our like goal is 99, and we have a special surprise for when we hit 99. It is absolutely worth it. Please hit that like button. It helps us out so much. Keep these lights on. Also, make sure you rate us 5 stars if you're listening to us on audio. Hit that like button if you're later on YouTube, or if you're watching us a third mysterious way. Wait, TV. Also, make sure you go say hi at gophnx.com. We're talking all-stars. Katie's in, but is there another son? We're going to break it down right after our first break.
Look, I'm a simple man. And when it comes to food, bread, sauce, cheese, you've got me. And our friends over at Spinato's have everything that I need when it comes to pizza. We had them in here today for lunch. And let's just say I didn't care about my diet that I've been trying to stay on. I went full bore. I had some of the cheesy garlic bread. I had multiple different slices of pizza. I'm in on it because there's nothing better than a slice of Spinato's pizza on a Friday or any day of the year. And if you have not tried their chicken protein crust, it is unbelievable. If you're gluten-free, they get options for you. Spinato's has everything that you would want. And we're going to be out at a Spinato's location in March doing a live watch along with you guys. We're going to be out there. We're going to have a watch party. You're going to love it. And right now you can, enter to win some Suns tickets with them as well. So get all the info on watch parties and pizza basketball contests at Spinato'sPizzeria.com. Spinato's, official pizza of the Phoenix Suns and PHNX.
If you're looking to buy a home, I highly encourage you to write down this number, 480-776-5231. Of course, if you've been listening for a couple weeks now, you know that is the number to the Carol Royce real estate team that has been family owned and operated through 3 generations right here in the Valley of the Sun. Extremely knowledgeable about the Arizona market, so much so, she's not just going to tell you it's the right choice to sell or buy a home with Carol Royce. It's the guaranteed one. And as a buyer,
Guaranteed.
you can rest easy knowing you're not just making the right choice, but the guaranteed one. Love your home. Literally love it.
Love it.
Or Carol's going to buy it back. If you're considering buying a home in 2025, the only name to trust is Carol Royce, your home sold guaranteed realty. Move up to one of their listings and they'll buy your home for cash. Have questions, call today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com.
If only the Wizards had the Carol Royce team guarantee, they could have bought Bradley Beal back when we weren't happy.
Well, I don't think that they would want to do that. I think that they're
that's what I'm
pretty
saying.
happy
If
with
she-
that.
If they had her guarantee, we'd be
We
fine.
would need the guarantee. Speaking of a guarantee that we all appreciate, B Guys 90, Chris, Mac, and then Mac. Oh, Kari, that dude, Desper. Mac, come on. Multiple Macs in the chat. Love it. Thanks you, everybody, for dropping a like. We are inching closer to 99. We do have a poll up there, of course. Crazy Computer Guy. I'll stop calling you Crazy Computer Boy, considering we're basically the same age. Says, would you swap Bradley Beal for Zach LaVine? The two options are, oh, yeah, and no. Can I get an answer from the panel before I read it from the chat?
Call me the Kool-Aid man because, oh, yeah.
No.
Context matters as far as what's involved, but as it stands, I'm saying no.
I'm Steven. I'm level-headed. Context matters.
I'll be there. Hey, you mock me all you want. I sleep well at night.
56% say, oh, yeah, I'm with y'all. Who cares? Let's just flip it up. 43% say, no. Real quick, before we get to All-Star Talk, 2 super chats. First one from Khalil says, the target should be either Butler or Cam. That's definitely something that we'll probably talk about a little bit later. Thank you so much for your 199 super chat, Khalil. And then Joe with a 499 super chat says, sick of all this posturing. What are these GMs waiting for? I can't imagine all these possibilities haven't been discussed already.
They all want to get the best deal and squeeze every last thing out of it, so they will play these games until they realize there is nothing else left to gain out of it.
It's a game of chicken, and in this case, it's like 6 different teams that are participating in it, so this might take some time to sort out and see who's going to cave first.
Well, if you're sick of posturing.
I was just going to say, I think I was watching the Clippers game the other day, and if you don't have League Pass, they sometimes pan around the crowd, so you get the promo stuff. There was like a grown man, probably in his 50s, that was doing a stare-off with a girl that was like 9. And that's what it feels like between Pat Riley and his sons right now. And Jimmy Butler. Everybody's just staring. No one's had a blinking moment within the last 2 weeks. And things are just adding up. So somebody's going to get a gust of wind and they're going to blink and then things are going to start to fall down.
If you're sick of the posturing, let's change topics. Kevin freaking Durant was named an All-Star starter for the 15th millionth time. He will be starting in the All-Star game. No surprise here from KD, who has had a very good season. I know the Suns have been disappointing. Kevin Durant has absolutely not fallen into that category. More than deserves 27 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, 4.1 assists, shooting over 52% from the field, over 38% from deep. He is one of the 7 players in NBA history with 15-plus All-Star selections. Truly an all-time great. Gerald, no surprise.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very deserving. It's awesome that this is his 13th start out of 15 appearances. That is almost as impressive to me as getting to 15 All-Star appearances, especially in his age 36 season. And as bad as this season has been, it would be a lot worse without Kevin Durant. So well-deserved for him, whether he was a starter, coming off the bench, whatever, he deserved to be in that All-Star game. So I'm happy he gets to be a starter, and he's very appreciative of this type of stuff. The honor that comes behind it is not lost on him, both all time and just at this stage of his career. So I know he's appreciative of the fans and the people that voted him in.
How does starters even work this year with this new weird 3-team
format
idea. And like
that's actually a great question.
Like it's like, okay, I'm a starter, but I
on
don't,
whose team?
Yeah, on what? What am I doing here? It's 3-on-3. I don't understand. Like I wish we could just name these guys, honor them, and like move past the dog and pony show that we're
just give everybody a break for that week.
Yeah,
we just need the break, honestly.
And
Gerald's like, just the break.
Just the break. I don't need to cover some terrible exhibition game.
Congratulations to him too, though. I believe he netted a $1.3 million bonus as well, which he doesn't have to worry about having to pay for anything that week. And I know he's already got a lot of money, but he got 1.3 more to have a little fun while he's out there in San Francisco at All-Star Weekend. No, it doesn't count against the second apron and the luxury tax, so don't worry. Matt Ishbia, that was to him. That wasn't to anybody else.
I don't think he's worried either.
He's 36 in season 16, and he's 7th in the league in scoring. Like, this makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and his team's 500 essentially.
Right. And then on the other end, he's borderline all NBA on the defensive side as well. Again, 36 in season 16.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
He's different, man. Different.
We could talk a lot about KD, and we will continue. We don't see him slowing down. We do have Tim Legler, who is set to join us in just a couple of minutes. Make sure everybody sticks around. We're going to ask this question to Tim Legler, but before we do that, I want to go across the panel because if you saw NBA on TNT, they picked their all-star reserves, and none of the hosts, none of them, picked Devin Booker, Shaq, Kenny, and Charles, all going with different guards from the West. So my question is simple, Espo. Does Devin Booker deserve to be an all-star this year?
Does Devin Booker statistically? Yes. But the narrative and the record matter too, right? And that's part of this is why he isn't getting as much all-star shine, and I'm okay with it at this point. If the team had played better, if he got off to a faster start, sure. Has he been really good as of late in vintage book? Yeah, he has. I mean, and I think that's deserving of recognition. I just don't think he's going to get in based on the way that this all is put together.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that he gets in because Devin Booker is an all-star caliber player. But in terms of who's going to actually make the all-star game, it would not surprise me if he gets left out this year just because of the slow start, because of where the Suns are in the standings. Like, that matters for people that are looking into this. It's up to the head coaches now, so it's not up to the media or the fan vote or any of that. That's just for the starters. But yeah, I think he's an all-star caliber player. I think he's had a couple of seasons where he's missed out when he was deserving. I think this one is one where you could definitely argue that he gets left out. And I'm at the point, I say this every year, all-star rosters need to be 15.
Yes.
They shouldn't be 12. We have way too much talent in this league to still be sticking with 12 all-star spots.
Yeah, but how do you, I mean, then you have 5 guys on a 3-on-3 team. I'm just kidding.
It has to fit the format.
Right, that's the bigger concern.
Yeah.
No, for me, I mean, obviously he's an all-star level talent. That's needless to say. But the slow start this season for him, and then that slow, sluggish stretch for the team, the Suns don't deserve to have 2 all-stars, especially with the way that a handful of teams ahead of them in the standings have played. So because of that and Kevin Durant and how great he's been this season, he is the rightful all-star selection. Hopefully he's able to wiggle in somehow, but as it stands and based off of the roster construct, like we just spoke to as well, don't think he's going to get there.
Yeah, just a little context. Devin Booker is one of 2 Western Conference players, top 15 in the NBA in both points per game and assists per game with Nikola Jokic. You could definitely argue this is one of his worst seasons, but I think based off of name recognition alone, and we've seen in all-star records sometimes don't matter in coaches' selection, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets in. We're going to ask Tim Legler that, plus so much more. Make sure everybody in here leaves a like right now. Tim Legler's on the line. What we're going to do, we're going to take a very quick break, and after that, we are going to dive deep with the NBA's foremost experts. So make sure you leave that like and you stick around right after this.
Man, you want a new player? Oh. I jumped the gun there.
You got really excited.
I got really excited for this. Look, if you want the Phoenix Suns to have a new player, they might need a new car when they get to the Valley, right? And we'd send them straight over to our friends at Sanderson Ford. That's right. Did I?
You did the wrong move.
We're just going to roll with it per usual. Sanderson Ford, new car, new year, new you for 2025. Get in there, take the whole family in style with the Bronco Badlands or an Expedition. The Bronco Badlands still the greatest name in cars out there. Sanderson has 28 of these to choose from, discounts up to $10,000 off. Purchase a new Edge for $35,995. They've got hundreds of used vehicles as well, so if you're in the market, check them out. For the best deals in 2025, choose Sanderson Ford for no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense experience, and get more for your trade with an easy on-the-spot financing. Drive into the new year in a new Ford from Arizona's most awarded Ford dealership, Sanderson Ford.
The only place that I do my betting is, of course, at Bet365, because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And one of my favorite things that they do is an early payout offer for basketball. That's NBA and college basketball. With the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 20 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. So if you take the Phoenix Suns to beat the Brooklyn Nets and they're up by 20, let's say for some reason Brooklyn comes back and wins that game, you're still winning your money because Phoenix went up by 20. Not only does it rhyme, but it helps your bank account as as well. New customers can also get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in AZ. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Frozen Pride, Kev, Leo, Tony, King Nacho, B-Guys, Detroit all day strong. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here and dropping a like. Our like goal is 99. We're inching closer, but I know bringing on our next guest is going to make us hit that like goal. Joining PHNX Suns now live is All Cities, All NBA podcast, Tim Legler. He's always everywhere covering the NBA, and he joins us now. Legs, how you doing, my guy?
What's up, fellas? What's happening? I just landed in frigid Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I am calling the Minnesota-Denver game tomorrow afternoon on ABC. So I'm excited about that. But I left Florida, which has actually been pretty chilly, too, to come to this. It's actually snowing here in Minneapolis.
Oh, man, that's rough. I'm going to be out there in a couple of weeks for my wife's baby shower. So hopefully it warms up a little bit before then. Tim, I just wanted to ask you, because we've asked you this before. It was months ago, and you had said, in terms of evaluating the Suns, you want to see this team put together a healthy stretch for a few weeks. They haven't really been able to do that a little bit here lately, but what's kind of your overall assessment of the Suns when you try and look at this team?
I think right now, and I'll go with the most recent stretch for them. What's happening right now, they're beating teams they're supposed to beat for the most part. And that's a good sign, because it's got to start somewhere. And I look at their last, 10 games. I got the wrong team up here. Sorry. Pulled up the Sacramento Kings. You look at their last, I think 9 or 10 games, 7-3 in the last 10. They split with Atlanta. You lose to the Cleveland, which is one of the best teams in the NBA. You lose to Charlotte. That's a bad loss. The rest of these teams, you're supposed to beat these teams. Philly banged up, shorthanded. Like I said, you get to split with Atlanta. Utah, Charlotte, they're supposed to be wins. They are. Washington, Detroit's actually, that's a quality win. They're a good team, and they make you earn it when you play them. So Phoenix wins that game in a shootout, and then you beat Brooklyn the other night. So that's where you have to start, taking care of business against teams that are either equal with you or you're better than. You got to take care of business, and then as you start to round out your roster, and I think they're going to make, in terms of getting guys back, they're also going to probably make a move here at the deadline. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. Now you can start to see if you can chip away at some of the top feeders in the conference when they come your way. So it's been an uneven year. Injuries have interrupted it. Lack of defense interrupted it. They made a personnel change, and Nick Richards actually been pretty good for you guys. So this has been a very uneven ride for the Phoenix Suns, but fortunately for them right now, they're playing some of their better basketball, and it's very important. These next 6 games are critical, because I think you got to go 4-2 in the next 6, because then going into the break, you will play all 4 of the teams with the best records in the Western Conference. So you need to make sure you take care of business against Washington. You got the Clippers at home. Minnesota really should run the table on all 3 of those. Clippers, Minnesota won't be easy. Then you go on the road. Golden State really beat up, struggling 2 in a row with Portland. Like maybe 5-1 actually is what they need to do before they head into that stretch with Oklahoma City, Denver, Memphis, Houston before the All-Star break. So that's kind of how I'm evaluating Phoenix right now. I like the way they're playing in the moment. Been an uneven ride. There's still more twists and turns to come with this team.
Tim, it feels like whenever I watch Suns games and then rewatch them, the struggles that they mostly see come on the defensive end of the floor. Feels like they can't connect possessions together on consistency. I'm curious, what are you seeing from their defense and what they're lacking, and maybe what corner they need to turn most to get to the elite status that they're looking to be at?
Yeah, look, I just think this is a team that when they play lineups that are a little bit more defensive oriented, they struggle then offensively. So I think that it looks to me like the determination is that they're going to play lineups that are going to try to gel so well offensively you can overcome your deficiencies. They're not a very physical team. They have some guys, I think, that want to compete defensively, but there's a big difference between having some want to and actually having the physical ability to be able to dictate off to the offensive player where they can go, what they can do. I mean, that's a different level of defender. I don't think the Phoenix Suns roster is made up of guys like that. So for me, their best bet to have a shot to look more relevant to everybody as you head down the stretch and get closer to the playoffs is going to be to gel so well offensively you can overcome some of those deficiencies, because the offensive end actually also makes you a better defensive team because you force teams to take it out of the net more often. You can set up your half-court defense. Everybody's better when they can do that, typically in the NBA. So their offense, to me, is the solution, because I just don't think they've got like the type of makeup and personnel that are going to really get into you for consistently for 48 minutes.
Hey, Tim, I've been looking at a lot of the Suns' three-point shooting as of late. And when you look at October and November, they were 8th most in three-point attempts. Since then, they've fallen down to 26th. Do you feel that that is a strategic thing that Mike Budenholzer's attempting to do, or do you think that that's just simply based on the personnel and where they're most comfortable shooting from the mid-range?
I think that those numbers are better and they're more aligned with not bailing teams out. I think that they've got guys that are very good at getting to the mid-range area of the floor and breaking down that way. When they settle for too many threes, and there's other teams in this league, I say the same thing about all the time. I understand where we're at as a league, and I know that everybody's got the green light. And the analytics tell these people that more threes you take, the better chance you have to win. And I just disagree with about 10 to 12 of those a night. I think there are too many bad shots taken that are not advantageous to the offense. They don't make anybody work defensively. If you can trim the fat off of those and be a little bit more selective, particularly Phoenix, who has guys that can operate in the middle area of the floor, that can get to the line, it's going to make you a more efficient team. So I don't know if I haven't heard anything or seen anything where Mike Budenholzer, laid it down and there's going to be a mandate. Now we're going to try to, cut this 3-point number down to a certain number. I just know that they're winning games, and I do think those two things go together. I think there are teams in this league that give up games regularly because they make themselves so easy to guard by hunting the early three with just any daylight whatsoever out of any player on their roster. I don't think that's a great way to operate offensively. Even top teams in this league, like Boston, Cleveland, like those teams, Oklahoma City at times can fall prey to it. Even teams like that, on given nights, Boston especially, I watch a whole quarter of a game and I think they didn't make the opponent have to do anything defensively other than close out and put a hand up. And they're too talented for that. And it's almost like it gets boring for them. So I think whether it's by design or not, I do think it benefits their offense.
You mentioned earlier that the Suns are definitely going to look to make a trade. We saw some reports earlier beyond the Jimmy Butler news that they might be interested in swapping Bradley Beal for Zach LaVine. From a basketball perspective, does trading for Zach LaVine make the Suns a better team?
Yeah, I think. Look, right now, that might be a lateral move to a lot of people. I think Zach LaVine, he's got a little bit more length. He's got a little bit more size. And the thing is, he has been in great rhythm. So if you do think it's a lateral move, you got Bradley Beal trying to accept a new role, which I'm sure hasn't been easy for him. Although I think for the most part, he's handled it very well mentally, and he's been pretty good off the bench for them for the most part. His shooting splits are good. He's been pretty efficient. But you're talking about if that were to be the case, you're bringing in a guy it's having one of the best rhythm runs of his career. You bring him in, you can now get a totally different element maybe to what you're doing offensively. So I do personally think that might be something to benefit them. And, I don't know if the Jimmy Butler stuff is dead, but I've been hearing a lot of the same things you are. And I'm not a huge Jimmy Butler fan right now with some of the things, the way it's played out in Miami. I do think there are teams that he could benefit in a major way. He still has a lot in the tank, and I think he would have a lot to prove and a lot that he'd want to show on the court to shut some people up. So you'd have a highly motivated guy that's been very good in the postseason throughout his career, and you get him for a short sprint. finishing up the regular season. I would make that move for Jimmy Butler. I think I'd do what I had to make that move happen. But I heard a lot, it was really hot there for a while, and now it seems like it's cooling off a little bit, but you just never know what's going on behind the scenes.
Tim, to shift gears a little bit, last night the NBA released its all-star starters for each conference. Kevin Durant getting the nod for the Suns, and now we're going to have to wait a week to see if Devin Booker also gets in. This is a loaded crop in the Western Conference, not just for guards, but in general. By your estimation, based on what you've seen from Book and the Suns this year, is Devin Booker an all-star this season?
I think, look, these are tough ones because there's only so many spots. It's so easy to say a guy is, and then you start writing names down on paper, and you realize you run out of room. So you got to be willing to say who shouldn't be if you're going to put Booker on the team. Now, look, you got a team that's 500, basically. We'll see what happens here over the next handful of games before they make those selections. You're not seeing too many 500 teams get two guys, and Durant's already on. So I will say this, Booker's absolutely going to be in the mix. And if I had to, just going down the list of names, if I had to predict it right now, I'd lean toward Devin Booker making the team. Part of it is because of what, kind of what's going on with Luka in Dallas. That's definitely going to hurt him. That's a guy that's a stone cold lock typically. But when you look up and down the West, like who can you say definitively 100% that wasn't voted in as a starter is going to make the All-Star team? You've got Anthony Edwards. You got Anthony Davis. You get beyond that, I think it starts to get murky. And maybe Wembanyama, some people would say, would be a lock for the team. I think he's got a great chance. But again, San Antonio's 2 games under 500. It's going to hurt him. But you start going down Houston's roster, like who's the most likely guy to make it from Houston? It's probably Şengün. Is Şengün going to stone cold lock make the All-Star team? I'm not sure. But they're 29-14, second in the West, and they don't have a clear-cut guy that would go for them. Memphis, Ja probably makes it. A lot of people think that would be a lock. I think Jaren Jackson Jr.'s had a better year. I think he's been more impactful. I don't know that they get 2. So one of those guys is a lock. One of those 2 guys goes. Maybe they both go. I don't know that anybody else from Denver is definitely going to go. I don't think you can easily pick out somebody. I said Anthony Davis, he's a lock. James Harden probably makes the team because I think they have completely overachieved. I'm not sure if Norman Powell gets on, even though he's been incredible and led them in scoring. So Harden probably gets that spot if one of those spots goes from the Clippers. I don't think anybody else from Minnesota's going. Sacramento's tough. They're red hot right now. That's going to help some of those guys. Fox, Sabonis, DeRozan, all of those guys statistically are having all-star caliber years. And at one point, it looked like maybe none of them get there. Now that's going to be interesting. They're going to grab 1 or 2 spots, most likely. And that takes us down to Wembanyama. And there you go. So those are the guys to me that are candidates. Booker absolutely will be in that mix.
Tim, you spent your rookie year 89-90 out here in Phoenix. I got my guy Eddie Johnson was on that team. What was it like to be a rookie with Eddie Johnson in that locker room? Because as a 40-year-old man working with Eddie, it's tough. I can't imagine as a rookie in the NBA what it was like.
Well, first of all, it was listen, the shooters show up, and you start looking around, man, and you gravitate toward the other shooters. So Eddie and I had so much respect for the guy, the way he shot it. But I will tell you this about Eddie. Eddie went into the right line of work because Eddie likes to talk. Eddie's doing the right thing with his career post basketball. But he's a great dude. Former teammate. I consider him a friend, colleague. We've worked together, done radio together at Sirius. So I love Eddie, man. But he was definitely a guy that kept the locker room lively, man. He had one of those gregarious personalities.
Did Eddie make you sign an NDA after being a rookie with him? There's no good, a good dirt on Eddie for me?
No, listen, but I will tell you this. When I got to Phoenix, Kevin Johnson came up to me, and I want to ask Eddie why this wasn't him that did this. But Kevin Johnson came up to me and basically said, Rook, put your wallet away. Whenever we go on the road, I want you to hang with me, and I don't want you spending any money on meals this year while we travel. Very cool thing. And I want to know, I'll ask Eddie, what's going on, man? Why weren't you the one to step up and do that? You guys know better than me. Is Eddie one to grab for the tab, or does he get alligator arms? What happens?
It's because Eddie's cheap. He's got those alligator arms. He wants to run from the check. It's like defense. He wants to run from the check. He's
Hey, but
allergic
listen,
to
no,
it.
in all honesty, you bring up some really good memories, man. That's my first NBA points of my career were scored there. Kevin Johnson, I'll never forget it. Running the break on the left wing, Kevin Johnson in the middle, kick out, left baseline jumper, first 2 points as a pro. And you talk about some of the other guys on that team we haven't even mentioned. Jeff Hornacek was on that team. Dan Marley was on that team. Kurt Rambis was on that team. Coached by the legendary Tom Chambers was on that team, coached by the legendary Cotton Fitzsimmons. And that was the year Tom Chambers scored 60 points, which at the time was a Suns record, which I know Devin Booker has broken since. But I was on the roster when Tom Chambers did that to the Seattle Supersonics. It was a pretty amazing night to watch how effortlessly he did it and how easily he did it and what a great player he was. And I think sometimes when we talk about the great big scoring forwards that have played in this league, I think Tom Chambers sometimes is overlooked.
Yeah, it's amazing he could do it with a mullet and those tiny shorts too. So.
Hey, you're talking to a guy that at one point had a mullet and tiny shorts, so watch it.
You got time?
Yeah, let's do one last basketball current related question. That was awesome. I love hearing that. But there's a new addition to the Suns, and Steven's got a question about him.
Yeah, so we talked about the Suns defense and what you want to see from them to turn those corners. How does Nick Richards factor in? Because he's a player we've seen do some different things with Charlotte, especially under Charles Lee. How do you feel that translates to the Suns context?
Yeah, look, I think it's an upgrade over what they had. And, Nurkic is a guy that, is going to clean up the glass for you. And he's a great defensive rebounder, a great offensive rebounder as well. But when you talk about some of the things that you have to do athletically back there as your last line of defense, I think there are some things that Nick Richards can do that Nurkic is going to struggle with. So I think just athletically, it's an upgrade. And I think on a team that has guys that make multiple defenders gravitate toward them, Durant, Booker, Beal, even to a lesser extent than those two guys, it creates opportunities for slashing and if you time your cuts up right, you're going to walk yourself into some easy baskets. And some of those need to be finished with a little bit more athleticism once you receive it. I think Nick Richards can do some of that. So, his numbers have been pretty good. Certainly the first night he got there, his first game, he was sensational. I think you guys are going to really like what he brings to the table over time.
Tim, next time you're in town, you can be Kevin Johnson and buy us dinner. We appreciate your time.
Hey, yeah, I might get some of those. I might get some of those little arms. If we set that up. I actually am coming to Phoenix. I think my game in Phoenix is Utah Phoenix. It's an ESPN game. It's I was kind of hoping they were going to flex out of that game, to be perfectly honest with you, with the season Utah's had. But there is no other great late game that night, so it's going to be Utah Phoenix. I think that's February 7th, I believe. So I will be in town February 6th and 7th to call that Utah Phoenix game.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Legs. Of course, if you want to catch any of his basketball breakdowns, he's everywhere. Walk in front of a screen, and Tim Legler's probably talking about basketball. But, of course, All City has the All NBA podcast. Him and Adam Morris do a fantastic job. Make sure you go and check that out, Legs. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be on. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, we have more thoughts, practice updates, and so much more. We smashed the light goal. That's awesome. So we have a special surprise right after our final break.
Our friends over. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Espo might have indulged in a little cult cannabis, considering he's all topsy-turvy wonky over here. But that's okay if you did, because you got some premium flower at a not-so-premium price, because cult cannabis is the perfect place and the perfect way for you to just relax, enjoy your day. Maybe you're sitting back and listening to your favorite podcast, talk to the greatest mind in basketball. Well, maybe you want to elevate your mind.
That's why
while you're doing that.
Why I did that.
That's exactly
exactly
why you did that. And now you can have cult cannabis so easily available for you at all True Leaf locations across the valley, and a True Leaf exclusive strain, Magic Marker. If you're tapped in as a diehard Kevin and I Brian do PHNX Puffs, where we indulge a little bit and talk with our fellow diehards. Of course, we indulge in the magic marker. Great flower is very hard to find these days. Luckily, our friends over at Colt Cannabis have been dropping absolute fire. Go to the new True Leaf location that just opened up in Maricopa, or head over to trueleaf.com to find your local shop, place an order, and tell them the incredibly high Espo sent you.
You know, if the Suns get a new player in, they're going to need a new car, right?
Sure.
And if they need a loan, they can go to our friends
I was
over
like,
at
dude, are
Desert
you doing this
Financial
again?
Union. Right? They've got loans, they've got mortgages, they got credit cards, they got investment options. If you're looking for something to do with your money, they're the place to go. And if you want $200 more of that money, they're also the place to go there. They've been here for 84 years. I'm telling you, it's got to be 85 now because we've been doing this for over a year. Yeah, it's got to be 85 now. So I'm going to say 85 years they've been in the Valley, and that means they know what it's like to be an Arizonan. They know what it's like to be in your shoes, trying to buy a new home, new car, or find those investment options. So right now, when you open a free checking account online, you're going to get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 and tell them Espo sent you, and they'll take the 200 back.
We are so grateful to Cara, Bees, B-Guy, Jeremy, Robin, Mac, QWERTY, Corey, Etai, Tony, King J-Rock, Buddha the Schizo, Jeremy, everybody in the chat who is joining us. Over 460 of you here on a Friday afternoon. That is awesome. Thank you all so much. Make sure you hit that like button. It helps us keep the lights on. And guess what? We hit our like goal. Noah, hit it.
PHNX party time, yeah. Oh yeah, excellent. Go Suns, party time, yeah. Kevin Durant, yeah. Devin Booker. Oh yeah, party time, excellent. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. PHNX, SPG, yeah. Espo, yeah. Ruby, yeah.
Woo! No!
PHNX party time.
Why didn't we drop that with legs when we hit 99?
I was not going to subject Tim Legler to that.
I was just looking at everyone's reactions. These two are like fist pumping, head bobbing. Steven's just shaking his head.
By the way, to the person who commented asking if Steven actually hated me or if it was fake for the show, no, he actually hates me.
I do like the SNL reference. It's now time on Sprockets where we dance.
Yeah. Big shout out Noah for that. Now whenever we hit a like button, we might need to make an abbreviated version because that was pretty long. But we are going to hit a party every time we hit the like goal. Speaking of, we have a poll that we need to revisit. Would you swap Bradley Beal for Zach LaVine? Tim Legler said yes. Espo and I said yes. Steven said rationally, well, it depends on the condition. And Gerald
That's not
said
what I
no.
sound like, first of all. If you're going to imitate me, you better do a much better job than that.
Actually, no. I don't think that's a good idea at all.
Nailed it. They nailed it.
I just went to comic book guy from The Simpsons. No. 61% of you said, oh yeah, you would swap Bradley Beal for Zach LaVine. 39% say, no. So how do we feel about that? 61% saying yes, swap Beal for LaVine.
61% of you are really intelligent, and I appreciate you.
So what about the other 39%? What are you saying about
I like
them?
them still. They just don't agree with me. So
That's fair. Apparently, he doesn't think you're incredibly intelligent. That's what he said before.
not
so
all of us can be.
connect the dots. I know. Just look at this panel. 2 of us are. You can decide who is. All right. That's definitely exactly what I meant. Espo was pointing at himself and Gerald. Gerald, there was practice today. Steven, you were also at practice today as well. Can we get an update for the people? What's going on in Suns land?
Yeah, so first let's start with the injury updates because we have a few. Bradley Beal obviously missed last game. And Yusuf Nurkic missed the entire road trip with the illness and then returning to competition reconditioning. So Bud was asked about whether Brad practiced, what his status looks like, whether Nurk practiced, and what his status looks like. And then he was also asked kind of where does Nurk sit, because the last time we saw him, he still wasn't playing. And Bud gave us some pretty insightful answers as to what it would take for Nurk to get back in the rotation.
He did practice today. I think it's one of those things where we just got to keep checking in, keep seeing how it feels. We're hopeful for tomorrow.
And Yusef, is he good to go for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he able to practice all?
Yeah, he practiced today.
I'm curious, what's the plan with him moving forward with, obviously Nick starting. You've got Nurkic who was starting before Mason also in the first place. What's the plan in terms of trying to work him back in as far as playing?
Yeah, all those guys just got to earn their minutes. I think that's the message to not just Nurk, to Nick, to Mason, to Oso. All those guys have played for us and are capable, so they've all just got to earn their minutes.
How would Nurkic go about doing that when he hasn't played?
Yeah, so that's hard.
Is it be just strictly in practice, showing in practice that he's deserving of time?
Yeah, practice, and you get opportunities in the NBA. That's usually how it works. Something happens, and you got to take advantage of your opportunities when you get them.
I think earning it is appropriate for everybody that's not, especially in that starting unit, especially in the center room specifically for this team. And because of those things and the lack of trust that we've spoken to the last couple of weeks in his absence, I just don't see a way for him to climb back into relevance with the Suns right now.
No, I mean, I think that was a polite way of saying he's fourth in a 4-horse race, and unless those other 3 have a problem, he's probably going to stay there. I really feel like that was just Bud's polite way of saying it.
Yeah, pretty much. It does sound that way. And I do think to some extent, like there are going to be matchups where Mason struggles off the bench and where Oso is just too undersized for that matchup. And maybe we see Nurk in those situations if they're getting killed on the glass when Nick Richards is not on the court. But I think it's going to be very sparing, and maybe as the third option, like, okay, we tried the second guy and he wasn't working. Nurk get in there for 3 minutes and rebound.
Yeah, but is he going to do that? That's my thing. Is I'm just done. I know that in a perfect world, a highly motivated Yusuf Nurkic in small doses can help you overcome the detriments of some of the other centers on your roster. I'm fully aware of that. I have no confidence that if his number is called after everything that has happened, he's going to go in there and give his full effort for 3 minutes. Please prove me wrong. Like, I'd love to be wrong, and I'm wrong all the time, so it's definitely not out of the question. I personally I'm done. I say, and you can't say this if you're Bud, but I can say it. I say, I'm done. I don't need you to play anymore. I don't think that he's a positive influence around the locker room. I think in that center room, you don't have a lot of perfect options. I'm going to go with the other perfect options that I would say don't bring down our team in other ways like Nurk can. And as bad as Mason can be at times and the weaknesses that Oso has, I don't know if I've ever seen them be as disengaged for stretches of time as I've seen Yusuf Nurkic. And I don't really have faith that emergency break glass in case we need rebounding for 3 minutes is going to lead to some motivated Nurk.
I feel like it's if 3 guys break their legs is more the break glass in case of emergency.
Yeah,
kind of Nurk.
So you guys are only in case of emergency.
Yes, I am.
It worked, but it didn't.
That's the only way it'll Nurk out. All right,
there you go.
Yeah.
All I was gonna say is I don't think effort is an issue as far as what he's gonna bring in terms of intent when he's out there, but the level of execution and the ability to execute in the ways the team needs him to when he's on the floor, relative to whoever it is they're playing. I don't think there's any trust that he can make that happen when he's on, and I don't think the players respond appropriately to it as well. So I feel like there's domino effect there, and for those reasons, I just don't feel like he's going to get that opportunity.
Yeah, if you are watching us on TV, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure, of course, you head over to gophnx.com. The party always continues, not just with this show, not just with Suns. The party time with Cardinals, yeah. Diamondbacks, yeah. Sun Devils, yeah. Wildcats, yeah. Rising, yeah. We have too many things for me to really commit to that. But we have all
Stevens
that.
breakdowns, yeah.
Yeah, Gerald articles, yeah. And so much more over at gophnx.com.
You got an eyebrow raise out of Steven, not just a side eye. He was like,
Well,
this
he
man.
just kept adding another
Well, I
one
have
to
to add
another.
we can't ignore your great work.
Well, I appreciate that, but
You
I
do
didn't
that with
know y'all
Nurk,
was gonna go 9 different options with that Yeah.
This is definitely
Yeah, I got it.
this is such a Friday energy
It is.
episode.
Yeah.
Like the chat's doing great. We're all joking around. Started off with Espo's Forrest Gump impersonation, but we do have some more practice updates from today, Gerald.
Yeah, so we actually got to speak to Nick Richards for the first time. They've obviously made the trade for him while they were on this 5-game road trip. So today was our first introduction into Nick, who's a little bit shy. He'll open up as he gets used to maybe a little bit more media coverage than he
You're
probably
just
got
you're
in
intimidating.
Charlotte. I don't think so.
Look, how little media coverage is there in Charlotte? Because I know the Suns don't have a huge contingent that
I
shows up.
mean, there were a good amount of people there today, but for a backup center on an 8-win team, it's probably a little bit less than here
Fair.
in Phoenix.
Fair.
But yeah, so I did get the chance to ask him about what he's trying to focus on to get acclimated and how he feels he fits in with the Suns by just being himself. And this is what he had to say.
I mean, everybody's just telling me just to be myself, and I've been telling myself that since I've gotten here. I'm playing with some of the best guys in the world. Just trying to play through them, trying to play on some of my teammates, trying to get to know everybody. They're trying to build a chemistry with every single player on the team. But overall, everybody just trying to just be myself, and I think it'll help the team overall.
Have you gotten that sense, to your point about just kind of being yourself, like your first game, you coming off the bench, and that double-double, that just kind of doing the things that you naturally do is a good fit for this group?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, I think the Suns, they traded for me just because of the stuff that I'm able to do. So I think that, I'm just not going outside of what I don't, not doing stuff that I can't do. Just doing stuff like that I'm not supposed to do.
Didn't trade for Nick Richards to be the savior. Be yourself. Have fun playing basketball, because the way that he plays basketball can ignite that feeling. The dunks, offensive rebounds, really hard screens. Hopefully one day he gets a lob thrown to him. Fingers crossed. It's exciting to watch him be able to slowly fit into this puzzle and know you have him under contract for the next year. But it'll also be fun from his perspective, I feel like, to just walk into your game. Not that you're not going to have to try hard and give effort, but you don't got to be doing all that. You just got to go in and set good screens, rebound the ball, and finish around the paint. Very simple things for a 7-footer to focus on.
Yeah, I appreciate that mindset and that approach coming in, because he understands the level of talent that he has around him, and he understands that by just doing what he does best, he's not only going to help them be better and help the team be better, but he's going to free up opportunities for himself as well. So I am looking forward to, he mentioned building chemistry with each player individually as they go. I'm looking forward to, once he gets the nuances of different screening tendencies and angles that guys like, when to roll, when to stay, that type of thing. I think it's going to lead to a little bit better chemistry in the pick and roll, because they really haven't had that component with too many of their bigs this season, at least from a rim running threat. So, we've seen guys throw lobs to Mason or to Oso when they're right in front of the rim and when it's wide open. I think we're going to get to a point, hopefully with Nick Richards, where it's like back when they had DA, where you're anticipating that rim run 2-3 seconds in advance. You're throwing the ball and he's going up to get it, because that chemistry and that trust is there.
Yeah, and that chemistry and trust starts to develop with practices like today, where you can work on those things, where you can understand things, you can talk about it. It's one thing in a game to try to learn that, but it's totally different when you get into a practice. So hopefully it looks a little bit better against the Wizards, just because they got those hour and a half to run together and practice and work a little bit after. So I look forward to it. But with a voice like that, I don't know why he's shy to talk to you guys. I would be talking to everybody if I had that gravitas.
I can imagine you talking with his voice the way that you do
It'd be fun.
On a daily basis.
I'm going to work on that Nick Richards voice next, all right?
How is that going to differ from your Nicky Monster voice?
Drop it a little
There's
extra.
no difference.
It is. It's a little smoother.
There's no difference.
Yeah.
It's Nicky Monster with a horn.
I go grab those rebounds. I'm going to grab them boards, do the little things for this team.
You sound like one of those raspy, like, movie narrators from the 90s.
In a world where the Phoenix Suns need a rebound and Steven wants to roll his eyes. As Jeremy says, the Nicky Monster.
Yeah, exactly.
We love rebounds.
Oh, no.
We were so close to just basketball analysis.
It was right there.
This close.
We're on the cusp.
Hey, he started
Like from you,
No,
too.
no,
Like,
no,
I
no,
simply
no,
said-
no, no.
All I
That's
simply said
crazy.
was
That's
Nick Richards'
crazy.
voice. If I talked like that, I would want it. And then he goes, "How is it any different than your nookie?" But of course, he pulled
That's the biggest
yeah.
ducking of accountability we've ever seen since I've been here.
Victim
You
blaming.
voluntarily decided to say that. You didn't have to say
Not
that.
true. I protect Gotham at night.
Oh, now
I'm
he's
the
doing
Batman.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
What I was going to say until he decided to go impersonator mode. I also got a chance to talk to Nick Richards a little bit about the roles in terms of how he played with Charlotte and how he's looking to be played with the Phoenix Suns defensively. And here's what he had to say about that.
I would say it's probably the same, but it's really emphasizing me, be the safety. Whenever they go to the rim, the 5 or me or KD, we go and protect the paint. Charles was the same exact thing. He gives the 5s complete freedom to go protect the paint no matter where they were on the floor.
I didn't get a chance to ask Bud about how he's felt with how he's positioned himself in drop coverage and how those conversations come about. But it feels like him saying that he's been given freelance to go and protect the rim whenever he feels the need to is a good thing. And I think that's something that he'll have a better synergy with, no different than setting screening angles on the offensive end. Having an idea of who typically gets blown by in what scenarios and being able to get a beat on that. And then it's just a matter of how the help is around him to kind of cover up for him as he covers up for someone else.
That's a good point. It's something to keep an eye on because, like, right now, beggars can't be choosers. At this point, any amount of rim protection, weak side, is a good thing for the Suns team. But the next layer of that is if he doesn't get a piece of that ball, if the Suns don't recover that block shot, the other guy has to rotate over and take his man collapsing to the rim, because then it's just going to be easy offensive rebounds, easy putbacks behind him when he's going for those shots. So they have to, layer by layer, develop that trust and build those rotations, because they're not used to having that type of shot blocker behind them. Now they have to say, okay, if Nick doesn't get it, we have to rotate over and cover for him as well.
And to that point that you're speaking to, I had something in mind with Ryan Dunn. Needless to say, he's their best perimeter defender at the point of attack. He is hardly beat on the dribble. And even on the rare occasion that he does, he's such a competitor that he gets back into it with rear view contests. There's a couple of times where either he picked up a foul or Nick Richards picked up a foul after Ryan got blown by. I think Ryan's going to get a synergy with Nick Richards specifically to where if I do happen to get blown by on the rare occasion that it happens, he's already going to be there. And there's a switch that occurs where when he steps up to take over for his man, he tries to veer back. They call it a veer switch into Nick Richards' matchup to take away that dump off pass, but also to get in position to rebound. I think once they get that synergy that you're talking about, it's really going to help to add a layer to this defense that they honestly haven't had all season long.
Well, it comes down to learning that communication with a guy like that too,
Absolutely.
right? And building that trust, so you know how those rotations are going to go, and you almost anticipate what that guy's gonna do in those situations. I think we'll get there, and I think the defense will look significantly better because of it. But I don't think that's gonna be overnight by any stretch. But we'll slowly see it kind of evolve.
It's a process.
It's really nice listening to you two talk about basketball. And if you guys want to do that tomorrow, these two have you covered pregame, postgame for Suns, Wizards, tip-off at 7, which means, as you know, we have a pregame show right on this channel at 6:30 that is YouTube exclusive. If you are listening on audio or if you just tune in for postgame shows, YouTube exclusive pregame show right here on PHNX Sports. And, of course, a postgame show with Gerald joining live from Footprint before we wrap up here.
It's just going to be an hour and a half of me trying to get Steven to roll his eyes at me.
It's going to be 30 seconds because you're going to get that.
That's a low bet.
Right.
I feel like we should set an over-under.
15 seconds in.
Cold open.
Just the introduction.
My plan exactly.
All right. Before we head out of here on a Friday, with still over 400 of you in here, we've already smashed our like goal. Let's try to get to 175. We're at 148 right now. Let's bump it up 175.
No, 200.
Oh,
I'm greedy.
you think they can do that? No, we're not playing the party. That's a once a show thing.
Again.
Once a show thing. All right, let's end with some super chats here. Thank you to all of you who are sending your super chats in. 4991 from Lonnie. Thanks, Lonnie, for always being here. Says Suns have a better record than Golden State. Book is averaging more points and assists than Curry. I did bring this up before the show. Does Devin Booker have an argument over Steph Curry? Maybe, I don't know when they're announcing reserves, but maybe this is something we can dive into a little bit more in detail.
Okay, no, it's in Golden State. The
Yeah.
end of argument. That's all that matters. The NBA wouldn't allow it to happen, even if the coaches want it to happen.
Yeah, and they're like a half game ahead of the Warriors, so who knows? Flash forward 2 days, they could be down in the standings again. Like Steph Curry's going to be an all-star. Unfortunately, because Book is still a star in this league, but you have to do your work early to have a chance to, knock off guys like that.
Especially in his proverbial hometown, his basketball hometown.
The franchise in the town that he helped bring from nothing. So big shout out to him for doing that, but we wish our guy Book does get in as well. $10 super chat from Psycho Blue says Legs and PHNX. Best crossover since Eric Bledsoe shook a guy off the court like Bugs and Daffy in Looney Tunes opening. Or that one time in Street Fighter met the Power Rangers. Go watch All NBA, guys. Yeah, the All NBA podcast is
Street Fighter and the Power Rangers?
I don't remember that at all.
I don't.
But now I'm going to look something up after the show. Thank you, Psycho Blue.
Maybe he was like hallucinating. But definitely check out the All NBA podcast. Adam Mares, Tim Legler, a whole host of NBA personalities, including a couple from the show that have been on there as well. They have their own YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out. We did get a $1.99 super chat from Aaron. We appreciate you. And by the way, Aaron sent a super chat. There was no message in it. If anybody ever sends a super chat without a message in it, send a chat, tag me in chat. I'll always be watching, and I'll make sure that your chat gets read, even if the super chat itself is blank.
Aaron, type it in there before you hit send, all right?
Good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Says, is there a world where we end up with some dogs? I'm looking at Bobby Portis. He would go hard in Phoenix.
I think there is. I'll speak before anybody else. Yes. I think there are a few dogs out there that the Suns can choose from if they don't get the alpha of the alphas and Jimmy. And I think one that I would still love to see with the Suns, even with the inherent injury risk involved, is Robert Time Lord Williams. Ultimate dog. Talk about all of the things this team needs to be successful from the center group on both ends of the floor. He brings all of that in spades outside of three-point shooting. That's the one flaw that he has with injury. When he's on the court, great passer, doesn't hold on the ball for too long. As vertical of a spacer as it gets in terms of who's available. Is I think 6'9", 6'10", but has like a 7'5" standing reach, 7'6" standing reach. And then defensively, he's a demon out there. Like he's literally doing everything. Guarding wings, being able to switch, guarding centers, and being able to switch to guards after that. What more can you ask for? Like, honestly, I think you add a dog like him to your center group, he supercharges everything that you need to do, adds the versatility that you need, and helps you on the boards on both sides of the floor as well.
Nurk in a first? Anybody?
Nurk in a first. You have 3 now. But I do think there is something to that, like a Portis or a Robert Williams. But I do think it's going to wind up being option C, option D, because I think they are looking at the big targets right now. If those fall through, then I think maybe they pivot and they potentially go a route like that. And I would love to see that as well.
Get some dogs. Roof. Right? Good. There we go. One last sigh from Steven to end off the work week. But of course, it continues for PHNX Suns.
Yeah, exactly.
The Suns play the Wizards tomorrow. Okay, anyway.
Get us out of here.
I'm just going to close my computer. I'm going to put my feet up. And I'm going to thank everybody for joining us on a Friday edition of PHNX Suns. Hit almost 500 in here on a Friday. Smash the like goal. If you're joining us late, we did talk to Tim Legler earlier in this episode. You can either rewind or we will clip that, have that up on YouTube for you as soon as possible. Thank you, Ted. Win, lose, it's entertainment. Sean, Matrix, Dagoon, Lay Rip, everybody in the chat who is here contributing to the PHNX Suns show. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to PHNX as well. If you're an Arizona sports fan, we have you covered with everything. But of course, subscribe if you're just into the Suns as well. We are always pushing out that sweet, sweet Suns content for you. Follow us on social at PHNX_Suns. We thank Noah behind the Mac, crazy computer guy, for making all the magic happen in party time. Yeah. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. Remember, that is Steven with a PH. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. You can follow Espo at Espo.
I'm not the hero that PHNX wants, but I'm the hero that PHNX needs. Nobody cared who I was until I put on the mask. Ahoy, ahoy.
We all silly like the mayor.